Welcome, everyone. We are here at the Black Hat 2019. We're in our very own suite recording a whole bunch of interviews. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited for this interview with Karsten Williams. He's the CEO and co-founder at VMRAY. Karsten, welcome.
Thank you.
Now,
Good to
you've
be
been
here.
on the show before and given us a deep dive into the technology that you and your team are building. But for our audience, what problem are you solving for organizations today?
So the problem that we solve specifically is zero-day malware, targeted attacks, very sophisticated attacks that are still undetected for sometimes it's just a few hours until all the security industry comes up with countermeasures to new attacks. Sometimes in case of targeted stuff and APTs, it's months, it's years. So we're trying to solve that problem, detecting unknown things.
And so why use a sandboxing technology for that?
Yeah, so we started as a core or as a pure sandbox vendor because I have been doing that for all my commercial.
We talked about
commercial life.
Yep.
I was pushed into that
Yep.
into that role, and since we're very good at that, we started as a sandbox vendor. But nowadays we have added so many different technologies, and it's a stack of different detection methods. The point why still using a sandbox, and we call that X-ray vision for malware because it's much more. But the point why we still use this behavior-based detection because it's actually the only working approach against unknown threats.
Right.
Yeah, I mean we have all these machine learning-based detection schemes. They make sense. Yeah, they add detection efficacy, but still, if there's something that is completely new or it is similar to what we have seen in the past that was good, it's really hard to come up with active defenses that are not based on sandboxing that can detect these threats.
And so you take the malware and you actually execute it, run it,
Yeah.
and see what it does.
Yeah,
and observe it,
exactly.
essentially, right?
That's called detonation. I think
Yeah.
it's coming from the military somehow. So you take a file, you take a document, you take a URL, you take something that could potentially create harm on your real computer, and you execute it on a non-real computer and just monitor what is happening. Yeah? And of course, there's a long historical cat and mouse game where attackers try to identify, hey, I'm not running on a real computer, but I'm running in a detonation environment, so let's not do anything malicious so I can't be detected. And that is one of the great advantages of our technology because we have built our own hypervisor, so we can detonate malware in real systems, in real hardware, real software, real golden images of our customers, and that makes it very hard, and marketing would say impossible to attack that you're running in a non-real. It's a real environment, actually.
How do I get the potential malware or samples into the sandboxing environment?
Yeah, so we started as a standalone vendor where our software was used as by forensic guys and incident response. So they already had these files.
Something was suspicious, so let's put it in the sandbox.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something was suspicious, or they were called into a crime scene and had to find out. And then they had a bunch of, let's say, 1,000 files, and they knew, okay, one of these files is bad.
Right.
So they just run all these files through our system. And they got very
Mm-hmm.
detailed analysis results, but they also got the verdict telling them, okay, this file is definitely malicious or not. That was in the beginning. And I mean, that was the time when we were a pure sandbox vendor. But our technology turned out to be so effective that these incident response teams said, well, we have these files which went through our existing security systems, and when we put these files into your sandbox, you tell us immediately, hey, this is bad. So why can't we use your technology in the first place?
Right, before it gets into the environment, right?
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And that is where we're going right now. So we started with one product called VMRAY Analyzer, and now we have one more product called VMRAY Detector. That also comes as one specific subtype called Email Threat Defender. But the point is, the whole product can be used as part of your email gateway, as part of your web proxy, as part of whatever type of security systems you use inside your company. So we have a lot of out-of-the-box integrations with Sentinel-1, for example, with Carbon Black, with endpoint products, and so on and so forth.
And the endpoint products will send you the files in the sandbox.
Exactly.
Now, can you also pick them up off the wire and then send them, or is that an integration?
Yeah, we have many integrations with these other security products, and I mentioned that Email Threat Defender, and that is actually an MTA that sniffs all the incoming emails that come in your company and extract the files. But still here, we're not going to compete against full-blown email security products or full-blown web security products, but we still want to focus on these very dangerous threats of zero-day malware, targeted malware, sophisticated malware, and we want to augment existing products. So we don't have spam detection, for example, but we just do this one thing, detecting threats.
So if you have solutions in your environment that can get a file, conceivably it could send it off to the sandbox. And you integrate with many today, but more as time goes on, right?
That's correct, yeah. So we have many different input or possibilities how you can connect your existing systems. You can connect your security products, you can connect your email gateway, you can use our API to do your own stuff, and a lot of our customers just do it. Yeah, they roll their own integration.
Yeah.
So many different ways how you can feed data into our system.
That's really great. Yeah, so it doesn't matter as long as I can write code to get a file, I can interface with your API and shoot it up. That's great.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what are some of the new features? It says in here you've got some new features coming about, and also about the current state of the market and how those new features are addressing that.
Yeah, one of the great new things is our macOS support. So in the past we supported malware is not the right term, right?
Right.
So we provided detection for Windows malware, for Office malware, for malicious URLs and stuff like that. And now we have full support, general availability of our macOS support. And the great thing is that, I mean, I don't know that much details about specific technology insights into other sandbox vendors, but as far as I have seen other sandboxes provide support for macOS, they had built a complete new system because macOS is very different to Windows, and they had to start from scratch, and some things are just not full-fledged. And when we started VMRAY 6 years ago, we always had in mind, well, we will build another, we will build support for Android, we will build support for macOS, so let's build everything in a way so we can reuse the whole code or most parts of the code base. And
which takes longer to code, by the way, for our audience. It takes a lot longer to design and code a system that way.
But we already, the founders of VMRAY already had several big software projects before VMRAY, so it's not that it's our first software. And so macOS support is really cool. Another big step is now support or integration of the MITRE attack framework. Yeah, I was really surprised how many people use that, how many people ask for it.
Huge traction.
It's really cool, and we already had our own attack framework. We call that the VTI rules, which stand for VMRAY threat indicators, and it was really cool to see how we could, in most cases, map one-to-one our VTI rules to these framework.
So in other words, this malware is using this technique. You had an index that said, "Yep, that's that technique," and then MITRE attack came along. You're like, "Oh, well, this one's the same technique," so you just did the mapping.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. And we had that same experience also earlier when I talked to the people of that created Sticks and Sandbox. Because a lot of that Sticks, or some parts of that Sticks Sandbox structure was built based on the output of my first sandbox called CW Sandbox, which created an XML format that became pretty popular. And so it's always cool to see how different people in the industry do things and come up with the same results, so you can be sure, okay, that was the right way to do it, because other people came to the same conclusion.
That's awesome. It validated how you were basically looking at the results, but now you can integrate with those other frameworks very, very easily.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's right.
That's awesome.
One other feature that we constantly improve is, well, I mentioned that earlier, we started at a pure sandbox vendor. And nowadays we have a pipeline of different detection capabilities or different detection mechanisms. So we call that the now near deep approach. So if we get a file or URL, whatever, at first it goes into our reputation engine. The reputation engine had a large database of known malware, but also known goodware. So we have file hashes, we have URLs and stuff like that. And we don't maintain that database on our own, but we have very, very good partners and strong partners from the security industry where we get this high quality data from.
So good files, bad files pulled in from external sources.
Not
right?
only not the files themselves, but hashes, but exactly that. But because there's a lot of open source databases, but the quality is not pretty low, but sometimes it's low. It's not what we expect as a high standard, and that leads to false positives and false that sucks.
Yeah.
So we have very, very good partners here. So the first step when we get a file is we compare the file hash or the URL against these databases, and within milliseconds we can decide, okay, known good, known bad.
Yeah, obviously if it's on 3 different known good lists and the hash is matched, more than likely, right? Yeah.
Why should we
go on
waste
to other steps,
any more time, right? And resources. And then there's a second. So reputation is good. It's very effective with known malware, but it's also something that everybody has. So each AV is actually doing this. I mean, AV is doing more, but AV is also still using.
Everyone has this step.
That's not super unique, but it helps us a lot in increasing the performance, decreasing latency, and so on and so forth.
Right.
The second part is the static analysis, and that's a proprietary technology of VMRAY. So we do here, for example, if we get an Office file, we extract all the content from it, like macros, embedded links, but also known shellcode, exploits, all the stuff. And then again, we check these content against our reputation database. We apply Yara rules and all that stuff. And very often, only within seconds, 1 or 2 seconds, we can decide, okay, this is bad or this is most likely good. So that's the near step. And then finally, if we cannot decide within seconds if something is known good or known bad, we detonate it within our sandbox environment. And the great thing about our technology is that it is using this hardware hypervisor, which makes everything super fast. Because usually you have to, I mean, you know that everybody knows that from home, if your antivirus software is slow and starting a new application takes minutes, you just deinstall it, right?
Yep.
And the same thing happens in business environment. If your email security solution takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Slowing down email so much.
Slowing down email, what often happens is that
turn it off.
Turn it off. If you can't turn it off, you use your private email address, and you have this shadow IT issue. So people just send documents via WhatsApp and so on and so forth.
Right, they'll just go around it.
Yeah. So you either have performance or non-latency, or you have security. And very often people sacrifice security over having a fast system.
Agreed.
And since our detonation environment is based on hardware virtualization, everything is running directly on the hardware. It's really, really fast. So it usually takes 2 or 3 minutes only to detonate a file and get a full report. And there are some other vendors which also say, okay, it only takes 2 or 3 minutes. We did the test. It took 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But even within these 10 or 15 minutes, a traditional sandboxing that is based on hooking or even on emulation, which is really slow, within these 10 minutes only sees a fraction of what we can see in 2 minutes. Because, I mean, we have not, our technology is awesome, but we are piggybacking on all these processor features that were invented for cloud computing. So Intel did a lot to support full hardware virtualization, and we're just using that.
That's a great approach. The reports that you get, tell us a little bit about the reports and what we can expect if people are listening going, yeah, that sounds great, but like, what's it tell me when it spits out a report, and how do I use those to integrate into my processes?
Yeah. So with our new products that are mostly aiming at detecting malware and blocking malware, people don't care that much about the reports anymore.
The details are like, just tell me if it's good or bad and I can take an action.
That is very sad because our reports are awesome.
Right, If you want to dig in, though, the details are there. I guess it was the point I was trying to get at, right?
So still our main, or not our main, but our initial use case of providing tools for incident response people will still be valid in the future. And this is where we get the great feedback from to improve our products and so on and so forth. So what we do is we provide not just only one report, but we provide many, many, many different reports at various different abstraction layers. So we have one PDF report for the manager, just red, just green, maybe also highlighting, so, okay, this is ransomware.
Right.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep.
Then we provide interactive reports where you start on a very high level. It only shows you the high level capabilities, like the attack framework events like from
Right.
Writer.
Yep.
And if you're interested, you can go drill down and go deeper and
Mhm.
deeper and deeper. And if there's an IP address and you want to see what data is exchanged with that host, you can go deeper and you will find every single API call, syscall, whatever the malware was
That's
doing,
really awesome.
and you see everything. Um,
Because I mean, as a SOC analyst, you're not gonna, or a security analyst, you're not gonna look into every single piece of malware in excruciating detail, right? A lot of them just gonna come back, yep, that's malware, send it off to whatever protection mechanism it is. Yeah, sure, block the email, block it on the firewall, whatever the case may be. But as you're doing an investigation, you may find that one thing, and you're like, I
absolutely.
really want to know what this is doing, and you can dig into those details.
Yeah, that's our general approach. We do not just want to limit ourselves on one use case or on the use case where you can create most revenue with, but we want to do many different things by always using the same engine. So it's not that we want to go have many different products, but our engine spits out all these awesome details. So let's try to bring it in different reports for different use cases. So the manager can use them. A junior analyst that does not have the time or the need or the experience to really understand the bits and bytes. But on the other hand, if you are working for law enforcement, doing investigations and stuff like that, you really need everything that is also actionable if you have to go to court and stuff like that. Yeah. And you also mentioned one other aspect of our report. So of course we not only give you the host level details, how the malware is interacting with the operating system and stuff like that, but we also provide threat intelligence in terms of indicators of compromise. So IP addresses, URLs,
domains,
domains and all that stuff that then you can use to reconfigure your firewall, as you mentioned. Or what we see a lot recently is these active threat hunting, where companies take these IOCs and then they compare these IOCs or threat intelligence in general against their SIEM and identify infected machines within their own organization, because everybody has understood and accepted that there will be no 100% security. So you have to expect the breach and you have to make sure that you detect it as fast as possible.
It answers that first question you get when you discover malware and you go to your manager like, hey, I discovered this, got into a system. Their next question is usually, how many other systems did it compromise, right? And that your product helps you answer that question. You take those indicators and run them through your systems and go, oh, that domain was accessed by all these different systems too, and it gives you a more complete picture.
Yeah, exactly. Complete picture, that is the point.
Yeah.
I mean, our customers usually are large organizations which have actually the resources to create a big picture. I mean, of course, we have actually 3 different customer types. So it's a very large organization. It's government, some law enforcement, stuff like that. And then it's tech vendors, other security vendors that just
it's
use
OEM,
sometimes it's really OEM, sometimes it's just running our software in the back end to generate threat intelligence, which then they use with their products. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. Now, if folks are interested in a trial, remind our audience how that works if they want to check it out.
Yeah, it's very easy. I mean, I think we have some buttons on our website, and it's usually if someone gets in contact with us with an inquiry, we get on a call with very technical people. Yeah, so I have some actually I have some friends which work for large German organizations, and he called me. Please take away your sales drone. I want to talk to a technical person. Yeah,
right.
It's if we
and there's some level of validation. Not anyone can go in and use this product. Obviously, if it were to fall in the wrong hands, it would be bad. But so you have to fill out a form, and there's some level of validation.
And we get on a call because we want to understand what are the challenges of the customer organization. What are the pain points with their existing products? Because very often they replace an existing sandbox or threat detection system, or they augment it. So we want to understand, and I do this still personally a lot because I learned so much from talking to our prospects. Yeah? So it's either confirming what we already know, or it's just
make you think differently about the problem, right?
Exactly. So, and that is also one of the reasons why we do not want to completely go into that protection or detection business and get away from incident response, because talking to these technical people that have to handle malware on a daily basis, they give us all the insights, the data we need to improve our products. So coming back to your question, send us an email or click the button, and we will get on a call, 1 hour. We will explain you how our solution works, how it's different. Probably we'll also talk about weaknesses. Yeah. So I mean, we are still a young and small company. We do one thing, but very, very well. This one thing. We don't do everything. And then you get a trial account on our cloud service for 30 days. Can play around with it. It's pretty simple.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Karsten, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.